This is Jinan, a city with a population of 9.4 million people and the capital of Shandong province in eastern China. Not long ago, it made headlines around the world. The workers in Jinan finished the monumental task of building the world's largest underwater tunnel while also breaking several world records. And this tunnel is a bridge. Usually bridges are built over rivers so people can safely cross them, but China built this one under the river. Why? What for? Unfortunately, I couldn't find any information. Just kidding, I found it. Let me just grab my coffee first. Just an unobtrusive reminder to do something under the video in case you forget. Let's start with the river. The Yellow River, or Huanghe, is the main river of northern China and, in fact, of the whole of East Central and East Asia. Huanghe is often called the cradle of Chinese civilization because basically everything began from there. With a length of 3,395 miles, it's the second longest river in the country. Only the Yangtze River is longer. The Huanghe watershed is the third largest in China, covering an area of about 289,000 square miles. In short, it's a very big and important river. The Huanghe River Basin is home to millions of people. Its population is second only to a few countries. Both the river and its tributaries flow through some of China's oldest cities. This includes the Shandong province and its capital, Jinan. Shandong province is located in the north of the country, and it's a coastal province. Its total area is about 60,600 square miles, and the population is 101 million people, making it the second most populous province in China after Guangdong, with a population over 127 million. Jinan, as I mentioned, is the capital of the province. The city's located in the central western region and ranks 20th in GDP in the country. It's a city like any other, but it's had some issues. In 2014, financial experts, specialists, and scholars, as well as well-known figures from the province, gathered to discuss ways out of the deadlock of the new urbanization of Jinan. After some deliberation, they concluded, from a general point of view, the quality of urbanization development in Shandong province was low, and the pace was slow. The province was still far behind the leading regions of the country. They also noted that the province ranked 14th in terms of urbanization, which is just about the national average. This doesn't really match the economic standing of Shandong as a major coastal province. Even the size of Jinan doesn't live up to its status. That means the city needs to be developed and expanded. But this simple solution has its own challenges. To put it briefly, expanding the city to the south is difficult. There are mountains there. To the north, development is limited by the river, but there are no other options. Building convenient crossings over the river and expanding the city north is still easier and cheaper than demolishing mountains and expanding south. The city's actually located beyond the Huanghe River, but even from satellite photos, you can clearly see how different the two parts are. The presence of the river led to the economic model of the rich in the south and the poor in the north. That's how the tunnel project came about. What's it like? Huanggang Road, a two-story road tunnel with 3 lanes in each direction, naturally looked like a major infrastructure project right away. It was touted as a way to connect the city area on the south side of the Huanghe River with the new state-level zone for free trade, innovation, and reform on the north side. The tunnel was expected to significantly improve the city's transportation links and ultimately strengthen the region's economic integration. Since Jinan had long been divided into 2 unequal parts, thanks to the tunnel, it should become one unified whole. Also, the tunnel and the road inside it will cut the time to cross the Huanghe River to 4 minutes by car and 2.5 minutes by subway. And you remember, don't you? It's 2 stories? And that's no accident. Compared to regular tunnels, the 2-level design solves the problem of two-way traffic for cars and also saves underground space in the city. It seems like some absolutely incredible idea. But not for China. It's like they just refuse to stop at anything there. In 2012, when mentioning the obstacles to the northward expansion of Jinan, 3 main points were highlighted in 5 sentences: poor transport access across the river, inadequate planning, and insufficient investment in infrastructure. Countermeasures for these issues were outlined in the working plan for the Northern Crossing proposal. At that time, the main transport routes across the Huanghe River in the city area were 2 toll bridges. Clearly, this didn't really help establish reliable connections between the 2 banks, because without proper transport, development is just impossible. Throughout history, the development of all industries has started with transportation, and the city of Jinan has planned a total of 34 underground crossings over the Huanghe River. By the way, one such tunnel across the river already exists. It was laid on November 28, 2017, and officially opened for traffic on September 29, 2021. The project took 3.5 years to complete, resulting in a 15,600-foot route. It's interesting that such construction became technologically possible only relatively recently. And I don't mean the tunnel, but the crossing over the river. In ancient times, the technology of building bridges wasn't as developed as it is today. Building a bridge over the wide Huanghe River was no easy task, and large bridges with supports and arches didn't exist. For a long time, and even now, many people cross the Huanghe by ferry. It's worth mentioning that the Huanghe is a rather tricky river. Throughout its history, it often changed its course and suffered from heavy silting. As a result, the riverbed in the middle and the lower reaches became higher, essentially suspending the river above the land. On one hand, it's a good thing because the soil under the riverbed is really easy to dig, but on the other hand, it's not strong enough and could easily collapse if not handled properly. Laying a tunnel under such a riverbed is much harder and riskier than laying a tunnel under the Yangtze River, but no matter how dangerous it all was, the engineers and workers apparently nailed it. The tunnel was built. The total length is 18,880 feet, with the mechanized part being around 10,800 feet. It's a segmentally lined structure with an inside diameter of 50 feet and an outside diameter of 55 feet. And all of this splendor is 100 feet below the surface. As I mentioned before, the tunnel was designed as a 2-level structure, the highway on the upper level and the subway on the lower one. The height of the part where the highway is located is 14 feet, so public transport, fire trucks, and rescue vehicles will all be able to pass through, basically almost any type of vehicle. As for the bottom part, this section has an enormous diameter of 56 feet and is made up of 500 underwater protective pipe rings, making it the largest tunnel of its kind in the world by diameter. For comparison, the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France is made up of 3 tunnels, 2 of which are public rail, and their diameter is about 25 feet. The difference is more than twice as big. Additionally, to protect the environment on both sides of the Huanghe River, the project team added filter presses. These are devices that clean water from solid impurities under pressure. Specialists also conducted research on key technologies for harmless water purification and its subsequent use. They also used the biggest tunnel boring machine to create the tunnel under the Huanghe. What does it actually look like? Let's make it easier and imagine that the tunnel boring machine consists of 3 parts: the cutter head, the tunnel shield, and the trailing gear. Although each of these 3 sections is made up of even smaller parts and details, this is a good way to think of the machine as a whole. The cutter head is made up of dozens of steel blades that chip away at the soil in front as it spins. It uses disc cutters, is located at the very front of the machine, and does most of the heavy work to allow the whole machine to move forward. The disc cutters are replaced as needed to maintain a steady speed. Next comes the tunnel shield and concrete panels, also known as the middle section. As the machine moves forward, the outer shield is essential to protect both the machine and the workers inside from the surrounding soil. The concrete panels are installed right behind the shield, becoming the outer layer of the tunnel, so the machine chews through the earth, creating the tunnel while also holding the soil above it until workers set up the permanent supports. They stay there even after the machine leaves the tunnel. And the dugout earth is passed back. The trailing gear includes a conveyor belt that removes all the soil dug out by the cutter head from the tunnel. This belt gets longer and longer as the machine moves forward. So we've covered the standard methods, but what about the machine that drilled the tunnel under the Huanghe? We're talking about the shield machine from Herrenknecht called Shanhe. It's a combined tunnel boring machine with an excavation diameter of 57 feet, roughly the height of a 5-story building. Its cutter head driver power is 5,600 kilowatts, which is quite a lot. The machine is built for the toughest jobs and can handle pressures up to 7.5 bar, which is 7.5 times higher than the normal atmospheric pressure at sea level. But that's not the limit. The pressure in the excavation chamber is precisely controlled using an automatically regulated air cushion. This means that uneven geology and water pressures over 15 bar can be safely managed even with very large pit diameters. Well, if you ever want to get a Shanhe for yourself, it'll probably cost you at least $80 million. This hefty number comes from the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, which paid a cool $76 million for a 54-foot diameter Heron Connect tunnel boring machine. The length of Shanghai is 535 feet. That's roughly the length of 16 buses, and its weight is 5,200 tons, about the same as 520 very large African elephants. It's worth mentioning that the company Heron Connect built this tunneling machine specifically for this tunnel. A machine of this size has only been used twice in tunnel construction history, the first time in 2015 in Hong Kong, and now the second time. Of course, tunneling wasn't easy. Huanghe is rich in sand, gravel, and powdery clay, plus the drilling machine was only 206 feet from the water's surface at the lowest point, and it had to go through a layer that felt like a sticky pie. Remember what I said about silting up? That really complicated things. The machine had to cross a river in a geological environment with high groundwater pressure and create just one tunnel tube for both directions of traffic. That's why a large diameter was important. Making such big tunnels is hard, much harder than building several smaller ones next to each other. Usually everyone goes for the second option, but China seems to prefer not taking the easy route. Every 6 feet along the tunnel path, it was necessary to gather 12 pipe segments into a ring to support the tunnel from all sides and seal out groundwater. It took a lot of time, and the workers who were constantly underground faced the biggest difficulties. However, when workers were asked which job was the most exhausting, everyone said it wasn't theirs. For example, one replied, "The ones who put the pipe segments together in the front are the most tired. Each of them has to install more than 111-pound pipe segment bolts every day, kneeling, lying on their backs, etc." Another worker said, "Sometimes the mud sprays on our faces. After the work is done, a group of little mud men can't recognize each other." Mechanics had it tough too. Every day they dealt with hydraulic plumbing and gas pipes. The stains of mud yellow and oil black on their work clothes wouldn't even come out. And overall, working underground, always risking that a river would literally collapse on your head, it's not a job for just anyone. By the way, what about the timeline? The tunnel project itself started in 2022, but the actual drilling began on September 1st, 2024. After more than 2 years of intense construction, the working shaft and the frame section on the north bank of the Huanghe River, the working shaft on the south bank, and the open and underground main structure have been completed. China Railway 14th Bureau Group is still excavating the main tunnel section, which is 18,880 feet long. But the underwater section, which is 10,790 feet long, has already been finished. The tunneling machine is expected to reach the north bank of the Huanghe River embankment by March 15, 2025, and the south bank embankment by October 1, 2025. As of February 4th, 4,700 feet of soil had been excavated in the main tunnel, which makes up 40% of the total work. And if everything keeps going as planned, the tunnel construction will be completed by the end of 2025, and traffic will open in September 2026. For a project of this size, that's coming up fast. By the way, in addition to setting a world record for the size of the tunnel, the workers also set a world record for how quickly they completed such a massive project. As I mentioned, they started digging the tunnel on September 1st, 2024, and finished the underwater part of the shielding in just 110 days. The Shanghai machine also had a daily progress rate of 52 to 59 feet. That's a world record too. Of course, part of the speed can be explained by the machine's design, as I've already talked about. But here's another fact. Its cutting disc is equipped with a washing system that helps prevent clogging. No clogging means faster progress. All of this reduces the need for maintenance work, which takes a lot of time and is also just unsafe. Anyway, I think we've covered the records. Now it's time to mention that the tunnel is part of the 3 Bridges, 1 Tunnel project. The tunnel's all clear, but what's up with the bridges? This bridge over the Huanghe, built by China Communications Construction Company, opened for traffic in Jinan in January 2022. The bridge became the longest 3-tower self-anchored suspension bridge in the world, as well as the 15th bridge over the Huanghe in Jinan. The bridge is about 12,400 feet long, with its main span reaching about 4,370 feet. It's also considered the widest bridge crossing the Huanghe. Its width is 202 feet. The whole structure cost about $868.5 million, and it required about 114,000 tons of steel, which is equivalent to the volume of 2.7 Bird's Nest stadiums. The 3 towers of the bridge used as much steel as would be in 2 Eiffel Towers. In short, it's a massive structure. In 2023, the bridge was awarded the China Steel Structure Gold Award, but its main advantage lies in its many functions. The bridge is built to the standards of a two-way 8-lane highway, and people on both sides of the Huanghe can cross the bridge by car, bus, train, bike, or on foot. Naturally, the bridge's operation has played an important role in improving the regional transportation network, expanding transportation options, and reducing traffic jams on roads. Because this bridge, if I understand correctly, is free to use? If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. Thanks to the lighting theme, Mount Hua memory, and the many sets of powerful floodlights on the bridge's posts, the bridge has become a popular tourist attraction. During major festivals, the bridge also activates a special festive mode with dynamic colors that change to match the mood of the festival. Recently, another bridge was built over the Huanghe, this time blue and white, still made of steel, but with towers resembling curved lines of a drop of water. At least that's what the engineers and architects said. To build this bridge, they used 70,000 tons of steel, so it's still smaller than the first one. Since traffic opened on November 23, 2024, around 35,000 to 36,000 vehicles cross the new Huanghe River Bridge in Jinan every day. The bridge is built to handle 100,000 vehicles a day, and its traffic efficiency has doubled compared to the old one. And yeah, that use of steel instead of concrete isn't a coincidence. The steel structure has a high load capacity, good flexibility, and better earthquake resistance. Basically, it'll stand the test of time. The biggest news lately is that I ate a super yummy tuna sandwich. I just remembered it again and my mouth is watering. Opening the tunnel. You didn't think that the tunnel I mentioned today is the only one in China, did you? Just recently, on January 21st, the Mawan, the first underwater tunnel in Shenzhen, was officially open for traffic. It was dug using a super large diameter shield machine. Mawan stands out because it has two tunnels with a maximum diameter of 51 feet and is the deepest tunnel of this size in Shenzhen. Work started in 2021, and by 2023, the right side was done. Now, in 2025, the tunnel is all set. The Mawan underwater tunnel is actually a key demonstration project for building transportation infrastructure in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area. The shield machine Mawan, which probably inspired the name of the tunnel, showed great performance during construction and successfully tackled a lot of tough challenges, like the underwater parallel intersection of ultra-large diameter shields, a shield excavation of layers with soft upper and hard lower soil. Basically, it was very complicated. Was all this effort worth it for the result the tunnel will bring? You bet. Mawan will improve the structure of the external road network in Shenzhen Qianhai, connect the cargo traffic of the Nanshan port, and also handle passenger traffic linking Qiwan, Mawan, Dachenwan, and other areas. A long tunnel and a short way. Here's another tunnel project from China. The Tianshan Shengli, the world's longest high-speed tunnel, was completed in December 2024. Even though the tunnel is 14 miles long, it'll shorten the journey between the southern and northern parts of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwest China. It used to take several hours to drive through the middle of the Tianshan Mountains, but now with the new tunnel in operation, the trip will be cut down to about 20 minutes. There's actually a reason for this. The project's a two-way, 4-lane tunnel with a planned speed of 60 miles per hour, so you'll be able to drive quite fast. This route will be a hit with thrill seekers since the tunnel is deep in the Tianshan Mountains, sitting at an average height of more than 9,800 feet. I just hope it's safe there. The construction process is quite challenging. Over the past 4 years, more than 3,000 workers have been continuously working in high-altitude conditions with low oxygen levels, also facing numerous geological issues and risks like rock slides, soft rock deformations, and collapses. But as you can see, none of this stopped the project from moving forward. What's more, it usually takes around 72 months to complete a tunnel using traditional methods, but the Tianshan Shengli tunnel was finished in just 52 months. And all this at an extremely high altitude. New underwater route. In May 2024, a giant tunnel boring machine called Dinghai started digging its way from land to sea at a depth of 138 feet off the coast of Zhoushan, a city in eastern China. Think it's just another tunnel? Well, yeah, the machine marked the beginning of the construction of the world's longest underwater high-speed rail tunnel. The Xinjiang Tunnel, that's what it's called, will have a maximum depth of 255 feet, a total length of 10 miles, and will run from the city of Ningbo to the city of Jintang in eastern China. It'll become a key part of the 48-mile Ningbo-Zhoushan Railway once it's completed, which is planned for 2028. The tunnel's interesting because it'll be able to support trains traveling at speeds up to 155 miles an hour thanks to a 7-mile shielded section. And quite naturally, when building something this complex, challenges arise. In this case, the geological conditions were tricky, which required modifications to the drilling machines, but the work is still going on, so the builders must have worked things out. After the Jintang underwater tunnel project is completed, it'll become the third longest underwater railway tunnel in the world, after Japan's Saikan Tunnel and the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France. Right now, the cities of Zhoushan and Ningbo are connected by a bridge and ferries, which take quite a bit of time to travel by. The new tunnel's set to fix this issue and cut the travel time from an hour and a half to just 30 minutes. Chinese tunnel in Georgia. It seems that China loves building tunnels so much that they don't stop at their own country. In April 2024, the Prime Minister of Georgia spoke at a ceremony marking the completion of a major tunnel in the north of the country. And yes, this tunnel was built with the help of the China Railway Tunnel Group, whose efforts made this country's transportation even better. What's interesting about this project? It includes a main tunnel that's 5.6 miles long and emergency tunnels. Traveling through it will cut the travel time on the Kivesheti-Kobe section of the road from 1 hour to just 20 minutes. That's quite the time saver. Also, thanks to the new tunnel, it's expected to improve the situation with transportation disruptions in winter. Plus, according to the Prime Minister, the tunnel could also foster tourism, which would boost Georgia's economy and create jobs. And of course, there's trade. Georgia's border connections with Russia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and other neighboring countries will be improved as well. How was such an important project for the country built? It all came together thanks to tunnel boring machines, and specifically the Caucasus machine, which played a key role in building the tunnel. It was developed in China, is 597 feet long, and weighs 3,900 tons. With a tunneling diameter of 49 feet, it's the largest of its kind in the world. The Caucasus is also a bit of a record breaker. With a maximum monthly progress of 1,397 feet, the machine set a new record in large diameter tunnel construction, surpassing the previous mark of 1,049 feet per month in the industry. This was made possible thanks to the innovative design of the Caucasus, which includes synchronized excavation and assembly technology, boosting construction efficiency. What about the environment? Surely there could be problems during the construction of such a huge tunnel. According to the project team, they focused on environmental protection first, constantly monitoring noise and vibration levels. They also took immediate action to address any issues that weren't in line with environmental standards. Well, I hope that's true. You owe me a like. See you later.